Remember this, kids. Promotion leads to sales. Promotion leads to sales. Paul McCartney has been promoting his latest record, Egypt Station, since before we even knew there was going to be a record called the Egypt Station. Think all the way back to the first time we started talking about this new record on The Morning Show with Anthony. We told you about this secret show in Liverpool where some video had surfaced. We played that video for you guys. We later found out that that was part of the Carpool Karaoke that he taped with James Corden, which went on to a billion views, like crazy amount of views. The promotion started right then and there. That cell phone video footage that got leaked out, and we saw that well before we saw the Carpool Karaoke. And that's the moment Paul started promoting Egypt Station. And that was a while ago. That was a really long time ago. Promotion leads to sales. Coming up at the end of the week here, 1 week in with Egypt Station, Sir Paul McCartney goes to number one on the charts. The first time he has done so in 36 years. How crazy is that? 36 years after his last number one, he is back up at the top of the charts with Egypt Station. Promotion leads to sales. He was absolutely everywhere. James Corden, on Jimmy Fallon, on Howard Stern, the GQ magazine article, and all that crazy stuff he admitted to doing with John Lennon there. The Carpool Karaoke with Corden, obviously. Just everywhere. Just Mark Maron's podcast. He did Q&As on Facebook and Twitter separately. He did one for each. He had the show in in Grand Central Station to promote it night of the release. He literally put the work in. And I think that's why he had a lot better results than he has over the last course, over his last couple of albums. I thought New was great. I literally, you can go back to the last 2 or 3 records. They're all really good. I think I like Egypt Station the most, but I really love New. I don't know. I got to give it some more time. But I've been listening to Egypt Station, honestly, and it's good. I mean, it's really, really good. But just to show you how the different generations still are. I mean, you can't count anyone out generationally on how they're going to act or behave. A lot of times, like the way the charts run these days, it's album sales, like the purchasing of physical albums combined with streaming. And that sort of, they have like an algorithm on how that all gets added together, and then you get your number. So, a lot of the times it's not so great in traditional album sales, but because it's been streamed through the roof, somebody will go to number one. Sir Paul McCartney went to number one with a combined 153 equivalent album units earned, meaning streamed and sold, 153,000, which, by the way, exceeded expectations on where Capitol Records thought it was going to be. This is his first release on Capitol, since returning to Capitol, I should say. They were on Capitol before when they were with the Beatles. But it was his return to Capitol, and it clearly paid off for Capitol Records. I'm sure they paid a lot for Paul. 153,000 units, meaning if you bought a single, you buy 10 singles, that counts as a unit. If you stream the 100 times, whatever it is, that counts as a unit. Of those 153,000 equivalent album units sold, 147,000 were in traditional album sales. That means somebody literally sat there and bought an album, either physically in the store or, the entire record on Apple Music, Amazon Music, whatever. That's unbelievable. 147,000 people actually went out and bought that whole record. That's unbelievable. The rest of the units, let me see here, were 6,000 units. Here we go. Units are comprised of traditional album sales, track equivalent albums, TEA, and streaming equivalent. So that means that 5,000 were streamed equivalent units and 1,000 were track equivalent units, meaning people bought Probably his single, probably Come On To Me or one of those 1,000 times or so. 5,000 streams. That seems way... I mean, I feel like I streamed it like 400 or 500 times myself over the last couple days. I don't know. That seems a little out of whack for me. It's his first in 36 years. Last time he was on the charts at number 1, he was there for 3 weeks with Tug of War. This is the 8th number 1 album, including his albums with Wings, some of which were credited to Paul McCartney and Wings. Of course, McCartney is also, remember the Beatles, and still on the record for the most number 1s on the Billboard charts with 19 chart toppers. The Beatles last led the tally with the Greatest Hits Collection number 1, which spent 8 consecutive weeks at number 1, December of 2000 through February of 2001. So 36 years since he was there, solo or with Wings, and 18 years since he was there at number 1 with the Beatles itself. Egypt Station is Paul's first album to debut at number 1. He had previously logged a pair of number 2 debut sets with Flaming Pie in 97 and Wingspan in 2001. As an aside, the Beatles logged 4 number 1 debuts, all albums in the 1990s and 2000s. They were all re-releases, the Anthology Series 1, 2, and 3, and the number 1 set. It's worth noting that before the chart began using Nielsen's music electronically tracked point-of-sale information in May of 1991, only 6 albums debuted at number 1. It's McCartney's biggest sales week in over a decade. Egypt Station starts with 147,000 copies sold. It tallies McCartney's largest sales week for an album in over 10 years. He last posted a larger sales frame when Memory Almost Full debuted at number 3 with 161,000 copies on the chart dating back to June 23rd, 2007. Egypt Station's launch was bolstered by sales from a concert ticket album sale redemption offer, as well as a number of merchandise album bundle packages available on McCartney's official website. I will say, even though he does have that ticket album thing, it's not as big as what some of the other artists have done. Most notably, Dave Matthews Band put out a new record. Their whole summer tour was going on sale at the same time. That was not the case for Paul. He had announced some additional shows, but a large portion of his massive tour had already passed by the time the album came out. So he didn't really lean on that one as much as some of the other artists have at the time. But the fact that he was literally everywhere he possibly could be, podcast, social media, traditional, that's what got him over up to number 1.